everyone can hear me. I am happy that you ladies made it in. I'm actually surprised that I have as many people as I did. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting at least one of you guys because you always join my Zooms. But and she knows who she is. But I'm happy that a couple of people decided to join. This is the type of stuff that I do to calm myself down when I get stressed out, which is basically every other day. So I thought, how nice would it be to send it out and kind of invite you ladies into that process. So, as the push notification on the screen shows, this is the beginning of a new month. We're really moving through 2022 at lightning speed. Honestly, it's insane that it's May already. And I just, with all the chaos going on, I needed to sit down and really kind of think about what I wanted my intention to be. So before we go into what an intention is, and kind of brainstorming with you guys what y'all's intentions may be and listening and things like that, I wanted to tell you how my particular May intention came to be. So I'm huge on like Reddit and things like, not necessarily Facebook groups anymore, but I love Reddit, YouTube, always, the positivity, the motivation, like content that's really uplifting and motivating. So, a lot of times where I'm in these chats with other women with a similar mentality and asking for advice, asking questions. And so yesterday was crazy hectic for me. And there was a really good question that came up in one of the Reddit groups that I'm in. And so throughout this day, it was like a 3 or 4 hour process for me to really sit down and like type the information out and post it as a response. So, I'll do a sentence or two here, a message here, whatever, just trying to kind of type it out and submit it. So I did that yesterday. I submitted, go on to my next task, out of sight, out of mind. So yesterday evening, I logged, into the Reddit. I look in the forum and there's a comment and the lady was like, I'm not trying to be rude, but this is like unreadable. Like I can barely understand what you're saying. And I laughed and I was like, oh, okay, I did it again. So I went back, I read the message and I, made the edits that needed to be made, little grammar, things like that. And I laughed because I went back and I commented to her. I said, hey, thanks so much for letting me know. I fixed it. That's what happens when you try to, type out a text response in the middle of doing other things. Laugh out loud. And she responded back. She was like, oh my God, thank you so much for not being upset and like yelling at me, for mentioning that, it was unreadable, whatever. And it really just got me thinking, one, why are people so rude? And two, that is something that I don't enjoy doing it. I hate typing things like text, emails. That's not my jam. I don't feel like I'm good at it simply because there's always 1,000 thoughts going on in my mind. I don't know if any of you are like that, but I can't focus on one thing. And two, it really reminded me that I need to be, intentional about even the day-to-day, the little things that we don't really think about. So I don't know about you guys, but in your life, I'm sure there are these major topics that you focus on. I'm sure we all focus on our health. We all focus on, how much money we're making. Can we pay the bills? Entertainment, the things we like, the things we love. But how often are we really, truly focusing our mind's energy, focusing our attention on our intentions and what it is that we need to improve on a day-to-day basis? So that was where my written communication intention came from, because someone basically had to check me on Reddit and be like, girl, what are you trying to say? And I don't know about y'all, but I'm 32 years old. I should be able to type a text response and, be good. So I thought that was really funny that she was like, one, nervous to tell me because people are so mean, but two, that even though I gave, I was really detailed, it was probably like 3 paragraphs. It was like a lot of information. I took the time to respond, but I didn't truly comprehend the information. I just kind of spat it out. And where I am now versus where I was, that is something that, you know, in order for me to get to where it is that I want to go in life, I know that that's something that I need to focus on. And that's why I set the intention the way I did. So, have any of you here ever heard of an intention, setting an intention? Is that something that you do in your normal everyday life? Anybody? No intention setters?
I would say that I haven't set any. I need to. But no, I haven't.
Got it. Haven't. Is it something you've heard of before?
Yes.
Good. Okay, good. Anybody else ever heard of an intention, or is this like hippie woo-woo talk now?
I think this is kind of new to me.
Kind of new to you? Good. Okay. That's exciting. I absolutely love it. I'm telling you, most of you have only known me a short time, at max, probably a year and a half, 2 years, but 10 years ago, I was a very different person. And when law of attraction, positive thinking, vibration, all those things came into my experience, it really did, you know, impact the way that I do things now and overall my quality of life. So although this is, you know, beauty school, this is a process for you to, you know, switch careers or start a career if you're, you know, on the younger side. But I think that in order to be a well-rounded person, you can't just have skills, you know, you can't just know how to do things. You have to really live through those experiences, and setting intentions is one of the ways that I like to do that. Also, if you're wondering why there's a picture of me on the screen, hopefully you all can see my screen, is I look like a homeless person right now. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put a picture up where I was feeling cute one day, and they can look at that instead of looking at me looking like the day one. And it absolutely did, but that's why that picture is there. So what I wanted to do was go and show you guys this website. This is not where I learned about intentions. This is just a good summary and a practical step to setting intentions. So I thought that we would kind of go over this and go through that process together. It's a great way to be introduced to intentions if they are brand new to you. And it's a nice process that if you are uncomfortable or unfamiliar setting an intention, this is a fun, you know, step-by-step thing that you can do to make that happen for you. So just gonna read this top part, and then from there we'll go into the steps. And this is the Zoe report. And it says, in my early 20s, I fell down the rabbit hole of learning about personal development and spirituality. Arguably one of the most powerful practices that I learned was the ritual of setting intentions. As cliche as it may sound, it changed my life, truly. I can agree with that, I agree. I spent decades coasting through life thinking that things, both good and bad, just happen to you, and you don't have much to say in the matter. However, setting intentions empowers us to decide what we want and how we want to experience life. Sure, life is unpredictable and will likely still throw us some curveballs, but ultimately, we are the ones writing the masterpiece that is our lives, and intention setting helps us do that. I 100% believe that we have the power to create the life that we want. No matter where you are today, tomorrow, yesterday, no matter who you are, what family you were born into, I believe that you get out of this world what you put into it. And if you expect good things to happen to you and for you, they will. So, like I said earlier, my intention for the month of May is, you know, written communication, really focusing on it, really being clear when going through that process. And so I want to show you the six, not necessarily steps, but the 6 ways or the six piece process that you can follow to set a quality intention. And then as I go through each one of these processes, we can do it one of 2 ways. We can brainstorm for a few minutes after we go through it and then share how that, you know, works towards our intention, or I can go through all 6, jumping in there with my own personal experience, and then at the end share our intentions. Does anybody have any particular preference on what you'd prefer? First one to say wins. Anybody, everybody? Any
I'd like to
questions?
hear all 6.
Hmm?
I'd like to hear all of them.
Perfect. So we'll do all 6 first, and then we'll talk about them and how each one of the little things can help build that intention. So the first set of practical steps is really just identifying the desire. To set an intention, you need to identify the desire. That's going to be the first step in the intention setting process. It can be a big or small desire, but it needs to be something specific. In an example case, it could be buying a new car, or in general, living in the moment. This is similar to living in the moment, is similar to my intention, focusing on written communication. So people tend to stop there when it comes to intention setting, but it's important that you dig a little deeper in making sure that you understand the feeling that is underneath that desire. So if your desire, in my case, is written communication, how does it make me feel when I'm focused on my written communication, when I'm able to put out clear communication, when I'm able to get my point across, clearly, evenly, confidently? To me, that makes me feel empowered. It makes me feel confident, and it makes me feel, ultimately like I'm giving quality information in a way that can be interpreted and used to better someone else's interaction with me. So it's said that we recommend to keep the intention connected to a feeling versus a specific desired outcome, because there's often a deeper desire behind our original statement. So like I said, the desire is not to be a scholar necessarily. I don't particularly like written communication, but ultimately I know that with improved communication skills, specifically written communication skills, that one, I'm less likely to have issues with other people perceiving things that I write or text poorly, or two, having to go back and correct or fix anything. So identifying the desire, what it is that you desire, and this can be small things on a micro level, this can be big things on a macro level. One thing about me is I'm a dreamer, and I'm gonna dream big. I want $500 million in my bank account and to sip island drinks on my own private island. So no matter how big or small the intention is, write it down, decide, and then figure out what is it that you truly desire when talking about that intention. So the next part would be to get clear on who you have to be. I absolutely love. I went through a lot of websites today to kind of get a clear picture, and I absolutely love too, the get clear on who you have to be. I think a lot of times it's very easy to put ourselves in a victim mode or to give excuses. When I was talking to you earlier and telling you like, oh, this is how I got to that point. I sent this message. It was, the person couldn't read it, so they commented. But notice how I made excuses for myself. Oh, well, I was driving, I was busy, I was doing a lot of things. Absolutely. That's still no excuse to not take the time to put out quality content. If it's something that's important to you, and it obviously was important to me, it's important to know that in order for me to be who I want to be, I have to put the excuses aside. I have to live in the moment. I have to focus on what it is that, part one, step one, what it is that I'm desiring, and then identify the person that I need to be to make that a reality. The person that I need to be to exist and show up in the way that I want to show up. So goals are about doing. When you set a goal, SMART goals, so on and so forth, it's about what you're doing to actually accomplish the mission. Like, I'm waking up at 6 a.m., I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Versus intentions are truly about being. And as a business owner, as just a person, I want to be able to communicate in a way that's clear and concise. I'm capable of doing it, but because it was never an intention up until this point, it wasn't something that I embodied. It wasn't someone that I needed to become. It was just get it out there, word vomit, blah, 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 go on about my life. And then when the repercussions of that behavior, fell into my lap, in this case, the woman commenting and ultimately could have, embarrassed me or made me feel bad. When seeing that, I knew that I did not want to be the kind of person that had to go through that, because yes, I have a tough skin. I've been made fun of a long time. So, it didn't bother me in that way, but ultimately I know that I want to be the kind of person that can comment something, write something, communicate something, and not be afraid that it's not going to go over well or it's not going to be perceived well. So to do this, it's recommended that you journal on the qualities that you'd like to embody that will support you in achieving this particular goal, or in this case, your intention. So for example, if your goal/intention is to write a book, intentions that could support that would be, I intend to make my creativity a priority, or I intend to see myself as capable and strong. My intention is I intend to be a solid written communicator, and my message is always showing up clear and concise. So by writing that intention, I was able to say, who is it what kind of person presents to the world in that way? And I realized it was the kind of person in my case that took the time to curate their thoughts. So as opposed to doing what I've grown up doing, what I've gotten really good at doing, and just kind of going off the rip, like shooting from the hip, I realized that in order for me to hit this goal, to set this intention and live by it, that I truly needed to be someone who had patience and sat down and curated my thoughts before actually putting them out into the World Wide Web. The third one is decide on specific action steps. So step 1 and step 2 are really internal, mental. You're doing a lot of thinking. Step 3 is, because intentions are not one size fits all. Step 3 is really about the practical things that you are going to do in order to hit this intention, in order to hit this goal. So the working aspect of setting an intention is when you jump into that part 3, that step 3. So like it says here, intentions like being healthier can mean wildly different things for different people. For that reason, it's recommended that you get specific with action steps that you'll take to fulfill your intention and follow through with them. Specificity breeds success. Once you have the overarching intention in mind of being more healthy, focus in with your goals by setting up smaller waypoints like working out this many hours a week, avoiding this thing, and engaging in more of these activities. When you get to this point, you've already been bold enough to speak your desire, to write down your desire. You then took it a step further and you identified who it is that you need to become to achieve that. And now it's time to actually put it into play, put it into action, and identify the things that you need to do in order to become that, to manifest that intention into your life. This is the part where I thrive, in the sense of I will make a plan like nobody's business. I can tell you all the things that I'm supposed to do, but without commitment, without dedication, and without that commitment to the feelings aspect, like in step 2, then it really never gets off the ground. So for me, my intention of being a clear communicator when it comes to written communication, the only action step that I created for this intention was any time that I write something I would take 2 to 5 minutes before I actually type anything down. Breathe, meditate a little bit, allow my mind to grasp the concept that I want to write about, whatever it is that I'm writing about. Decide what kind of tone that I want to set, and decide how I would feel. I can decide how I would want to feel if somebody was messaging me about that topic. So whatever it is, that's the one step that I have. Anytime I go to write something, and this is what I've done all day today, before I send an email, before I send a text, I took 2 to 5 minutes, stopped the brain chatter, stopped the thinking, stopped the overanalyzing, and really thought about what it was that I was trying to communicate and how I would want that communication, like what thoughts, what feelings, what I want that communication to invoke. I also committed to, if someone was available, having them read it first. So I'm going to switch to this message here. This is the message that ultimately you all saw. Before I set the intention to be a better, clear communicator, this message would not have looked like that. It was a jumbled, chaotic mess. But before I wrote it, I sat down, I thought about what it was that I wanted to communicate. I did a first draft. I, referenced what it is I was trying to get across. I typed it up, formatted it, did the whole thing. And then I had someone else come look at it and give me the final okay, making sure everything was good. I can tell you without a doubt, if you've ever, I don't know, if you've gotten an email from me, 9 times out of 10, there was a mistake in it somewhere. That mistake that you saw, there would be 4 or 5 on average in a normal email. When the person who checked this message for me, I think they fixed like one thing, and it was something, autocorrect type thing. So to go in just a matter of taking 2 to 5 minutes to actually think about what it is that I'm trying to communicate, to actually get to a point where I can clearly express what I'm trying to say, I already made major improvements. My intention was already working for me, and I had only gotten up to the first 3 parts of this process. The desire, so set the intention, deciding who I needed to become to achieve that intention, and then creating an action plan, specific steps, and actually following through. I was already able to communicate much clearer, much more effectively, and look at what happened. I have 5 people on this Zoom call versus last week I did a read along that I sent out. I know that there was there was errors in the email because I sent it out in 2 minutes trying to just make sure I get it out, and nobody joined. So just that alone lets me know that if you do the work and you set the intention, that you can achieve it. And to some, this may be a small thing, but to me, I say if you can achieve it with something as simple as improving written communication, imagine how powerful you are to change anything in your world. So from there, moving it one step further, part 4, step 4, shifting any limiting beliefs. So not believing that the intention is actually possible for you is a common intention setting challenge. This can impede the intention from manifesting into your everyday experience. If this is the case for you, and I hope you feel no shame, this is the case for all of us. Limiting beliefs are the things that we believe to be true that are not universal truth. These are things that we believe we are capable or incapable of based on our learned experiences, but they are not ultimately true for the world. So for example, gravity is, the rule of gravity is true. It is what it is. You cannot fly. That is a universal truth. But for someone to say that I can't cook, or I'm incapable of learning how to cook, that's a limiting belief. That's you saying based on a insecurity or a misunderstanding, or whatever it is, that's you saying that something is not possible for you, when in reality it very well is. You just need to figure out how to accomplish it in a way that works for you. When it comes to my personal intention, I definitely have limiting beliefs in the sense that, I don't have the time to curate an email response, right? I'm so busy, or I don't have the knowledge to properly use grammar in all situations, or I don't know the difference between this, and this, so I'll never be a good written communicator. And that's just not true. It's no different than your experience with lashing or doing a facial. Yeah, you probably weren't great at it the first time you did it, but that doesn't mean that you're incapable of doing it. So shifting any limiting beliefs will really help you, especially when it gets difficult to get through these steps, especially when you're having a hard day, especially when someone tells you what you're not capable of. Realizing that that's simply a limiting belief, and that you have the power to change that will help you move forward and continue to work towards your intentions. 5 is going to be reinforce the intentions daily. Intentions are part practicality, part magic, right? This is, like I said earlier, woo-woo hippie stuff. It's all about the feeling and the love and how it makes you feel. And that's not reality for most people. But at the end of the day, it can be learned behavior. The same way you learned your bad habits, the same way you fight for your limiting beliefs, the same way that you can actually reinforce your intention, then you can improve upon the things that you want to improve on. Just today, like I said, I already made improvement. I was able to send a grown-up email by myself, a grown-up written communication, without looking back on it and being embarrassed that I produced that. So you have to reinforce it daily, hourly if you need to, minute by minute if you need to. No matter what your intention is, if you reinforce it and you build that muscle, you continue to build on it, then eventually it'll become your truth. It'll become second nature to you. And then the last one, surrender and lean into faith. Now, depending on your life experiences, what you believe, it's not necessarily important to surrender and lean into faith, because not all people have faith in outside forces. That's not gonna, it's not gonna hurt you if you don't believe in it, in, some outside force coming in and giving you all your hopes, wishes, and dreams. But it is important that you have faith at least in yourself. So there's no point of resisting your ability to grow and change and be even more powerful than you are right now. No matter what the intention is, no matter what it is you're trying to accomplish, you have to first believe in yourself. And the best part about it is, like step 5, reinforce your intentions daily. If you have been reinforcing this information, eventually you're going to have the confidence and the faith in yourself to go out there and continue to build upon this process. But what I liked about the Zoe report is that they included this and they included it at the end, because ultimately, in order to get there, you have to do all the other steps. It doesn't help you to surrender and have faith and just lean into faith if you don't actually have, the step 3, a plan. If you don't have practical steps that you can take, having faith that you're gonna, approve or improve or achieve something isn't really gonna help you, because nothing's gonna change. Going in, following the process, and even if it's not this process, whatever process that you create, following that process, having a system in place, and building that muscle, building that strength, building that commitment and that faith in yourself is ultimately going to mold you into being the absolute best version of yourself. And that's why I personally love setting intentions. So before I open it up for anyone to share, does anybody have any particular questions about the 6 points that we went over? I'll roll through them for a little bit. Okay, and what I'm also going to do is just drop this in the chat. That way you have direct access to that website anytime you'd like it, by all means. All right, and we're sitting at 7:36. So what I'll do is I'll give everyone 4 minutes. Well, I'll give you 5 minutes. So at 7:41, I'm gonna come back on and see if anybody would like to share their intention, or if anyone needs help brainstorming a clear intention, then we can do that after the time is up as well. So I'll give you about 4 or 5 more minutes. 7:41, 7:42, I'll come back on and we'll share, we'll discuss. If you'd like to, you don't have to. It's 100% private. If you'd like to share, if you'd like input, we're here for you. All right, ladies, I'll be back in a second. With everyone and kind of make a new intention. Any takers? Alrighty, we got some shy ones today. No one wants to share.
I guess I can.
Okay, go ahead. We'd love to hear it.
So I would say one of I guess the biggest because it says to identify the desire, and I think one thing that I'm getting closer to or trying to work on is being I would say a procrastinator, just in general with everything that I do is I'm always procrastinating or holding off or thinking I still have time or making excuses and things like that.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say, and then it says get clear on who you have to be. I guess that's what I'm still trying to figure out, on how I feel I guess I make a lot of excuses or too lenient or I don't know, lazy. I don't know.
I don't know. I can understand where you're coming from. So the intention in that the desire ultimately is what it sounds like is to not procrastinate, to give things 100% and see them through, right? Exactly. And it sounds like to me ultimately the intention or the umbrella would be to start and finish things in a timely fashion, just to work on your goals and your dreams and your visions consistently.
Correct, because I always feel I'm always oh, you can do it tomorrow, you still have time, or I'm too lenient on myself, thinking I can get it done a later time, but why when there's no reason to? I think that one thing I have to work on, or trying to at least.
Okay, So I can tell you, you've got the desire. So you've got the step one, which makes sense. You've got you really got to reinforce the intentions part because you think about it often, right? You're like, oh, I got to do better. And then you don't, but you're reinforcing the limiting belief that you aren't going to or that you're not capable of. So really you're doing the things, you're just not doing them in your best interest. Yeah, you're doing the things, but for the opposite of your best interest, which is funny because until someone brought it to my attention, I thought the same way. I processed information the very same way. And they were like, you argue for your limitations so much. And that has stuck with me for so long, because if you really think about it, it's like we'll spend the same amount of time, if not more, arguing with ourselves on why we shouldn't do the thing that would have taken 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. Like we spend more time arguing for the not doing it. So I definitely think it would be good to start at that step 2 and get the clarity on who the person who isn't like that, who the person that you want to be, that person who doesn't procrastinate, that person who goes after their goals, that person who makes it a priority, and get a picture of that person in your mind or in your journal. And when you're making those decisions, for me, it's the decision to, oh, am I going to work out today? No, that's my decision. I'm always going to say no. But I try to remind myself that the person that is living the life that I want to live, the person that's accomplishing the things that I want to accomplish, are they doing, would they get out of bed at 7 a.m. and walk on the treadmill? Probably. They probably would. So once you get clear on who you have to be in order to accomplish those things, I think it'll be a lot easier for you to say, okay, this is, I'm at a crossroads. I have to make a decision about whether I want to do A or B. Do I want to play on my phone on Instagram, or do I want to, make fans for my clients that are coming up this week? And then you have to ask yourself, is the person who is living the life that I want to live, accomplishing the things that I want to accomplish, are they choosing the Instagram, or are they choosing to make the fans? And whatever the decision you're faced with, I think when you can get clear on it, that's going to, 1, catapult you through the next couple of steps, and 2, it'll make it a lot easier for you to reduce, because you're never going to stop the procrastination. But I think that would make a big effort in reducing, how many opportunities you allow yourself to procrastinate. Absolutely. And then the action steps, you could do just like I said, like every time you're faced with the decision on what to do, your action step for an intention like that could be, would the person who is living the dream life that I want to live, your favorite Instagram person that's out there killing it in the business that you want to kill, you can say, every time I'm faced with a decision, would this person, their name, would they do this or would they do that? And then if the answer is that they would get up and do the work, then get your butt up and do the work, because that's going to motivate you to continue.
Yes, most definitely, because I will find any reason or excuse to not do it. It's insane.
Oh, it's honestly not insane at all. It's so not normal. There's so many things that we have available to distract us. Like you could be anywhere else right now, but you chose, for whatever reason, whether you wanted an easy hour or whether you genuinely cared about the information, you made the choice to jump on this call, get the hour to get closer to your goals. So it's real easy to decide, oh, I'm not going to join that. I'm going to keep watching YouTube. But, you're capable of making the decision to push you towards your goal. You just have to continue. Step 5, continue to push towards it, continue to make those decisions. And then ultimately, step 6, realize that, I don't know how old you are, but you've come a very long way, because you got to think about it. There are people that haven't even made it to the step in the process that you guys are at. Like, how many people think about going to school and never sign up? How many people think about doing esthetician or facials or waxing and never Google a school or figure out the requirements? So you're already moving in the right direction. It's just not as quick as you may want or think that you should be going. But at the end of the day, there are no rules. You get to live the life that you want to live, and you get to live it on your timeline, and nobody gets to tell you that you're doing it too slow, too fast, the hard way, the easy way. You get to decide that. And that's what I like. That's what I love about it. You make the rules. So at the end of the day, if you're not happy with the outcome, as long as it's what you want, then you can make a change and go on and do the things that you want to do. But ultimately, every last one of us is, in this day and age, is a procrastinator. I mean, God, who would I wouldn't listen to myself for an hour over being able to watch TikToks. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'd rather just watch TikToks. and it's me talking. So I completely get it. That's 100% reasonable. But I encourage you to go through the 6 steps. And even if you have to do it, 15 to 20 minutes every day, go through and rewrite out the process each day. And when you start to see that you're consistent, take it another step further and kind of work on, other little tasks and other little activities. So that's good. That's very good. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else would like to share?
Thank you for your advice.
Of course, absolutely. Keep going. That's it. That's all you have to do. Anybody else want to share, ladies, or can I release you all from the call?
This is Angel. I wrote, I intend to create more time for self-care.
Ooh, yes. We love self-care. Love that. I love that. And I'm guessing you're a mom, right?
Yes, of 6.
Oh yeah. That's all right. I remember mom of 6, worked full time.
Yeah.
All right then. So you absolutely need that. And as far as, let's just kind of pick and choose here. You want to create more time for self-care. Ooh, let's do limiting beliefs and action steps. So what limiting beliefs, if any, do you think you are using to prevent you from doing that self-care?
I would say, like, pretty much putting the kids first.
Absolutely.
Much one first. So with me putting everybody first, it's like there's hardly any time for me to put myself ahead and do things that I need and have to do for myself,
Absolutely. So I was thinking, because I don't have any children, if I hadn't told y'all this before, when people ask me if I have kids, I tell them that I have, how many ever students are on the roster, because I think of y'all as like my children, my adult children, right? So I don't have any children, and I can only imagine how much time and commitment that it takes to keep those human beings thriving out here in society. But what's funny is that, that's that limiting belief, right? It's not universally true that you have to put your kids before you. I remember my mentor, my coach, she told me, she was like, how are you going to help, or how are you going to encourage, how are you going to educate, how are you going to teach anybody something that you don't have? And ultimately, you don't have the energy, if you don't have the mental energy, if you don't have the physical energy after a long day of living life, how much are you really giving your children?
Right.
You know what I mean? Are you giving them a 40% version of you because you don't take that time for self-care, versus the version of you that is putting you first? And I wonder if another limiting belief would be that it's selfish to think about self-care when you've got, these 6 kids to worry about. Is that something that you feel like?
Yeah, I feel that all the time.
Absolutely.
I would.
What do they call it? Mom guilt?
Yeah.
Yeah, mom. That's absolutely limiting, because I can tell you without a doubt, as someone who was raised by a woman who worked like a crazy person, it was never the things that she gave us. It was never the experiences that she took. Like, it was never the money or the gifts or the house that we lived in, the type of car. It was always looking back and remembering the time that we spent, like remembering the things that we did. That's what I remember from my childhood. I don't remember the type of TV we had, the type of dinner, the lavish meals. I don't remember. I remember my mom every summer before, every school year before, like the end of the school year, she would go on a weekend and bake pies or cakes for every one of my teachers. And she would come up to the school, take them, and thank the teachers for basically dealing with her problem child. And she would give them that energy. And that taught me to be the kind of woman that I am today. And it's like, she had to say, you know what, I'm going to do this for me. Like this, that's what she loved to do. She could have spent that time anywhere, but she spent it pouring into herself and filling her own cup. And that's what I remember. So I definitely think that that's a really good intention. I definitely think that's going to be on the larger side of an intention. Earlier we talked about small versus large intentions. That's definitely going to be a large intention, because that is something that is maternally, I know that you would lay your life down for your kids. So right. Don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself enough time and enough space to slowly but surely do little things each day, maybe in the beginning each month, and then each week, and then each day, that fill your cup. And that would lead me to point 3, deciding on specific action steps. I would journal, on one side of the paper, 10 things that I like to do that give me energy. So I have a list in my journal that's like, these are the top 10 things that if I am 100% depleted of energy, that I can do to get my energy back up. One of them is travel. Love that. But, I have some things as simple as, lay in bed for a couple of hours and watch a chick flick. Just Right is one of my favorite movies, last holiday. I can watch those movies back to back. So whenever I'm feeling depleted, I can look at that list and pick something and do it. So I think that on one sheet, go and list, really search within yourself and list some things that you consider that self-care, things that you absolutely love, things that really power you up, and then figure out on another page or on the other side of the page how you can incorporate one of those things a month, or even every other week or once a week. How can you incorporate one of those things into your daily life to make it smaller, step-by-step things that you're doing to ultimately achieve the intention? Because you can. It's going to be a lot of work, because I'm telling you, 6 kids, oh my God.
Yep.
Maybe you need to start fixing your dinner plate first and being like, you know what? I'm going to fix my food first. I'll feed you guys after I eat. They're little. They can go a little longer without meals. Something small, something fun, just so that you can see, like, the world's not going to stop because you decide to consider your needs first. Mental health, physical health, the whole nine. Right. That's definitely a good one. I like it. Anybody else? Any questions? Anybody have any concerns?
No, but I don't have children. I'm pretty young, but I would input, or I would say, like, she definitely does have to take care of herself first, because I know they need her. Coming from someone who doesn't have a mother, girl, gotta realize that you gotta put yourself first sometimes, because them kids need you.
Absolutely. Yep. I need you to be around.
Yes, so stress kills and things like that. So sometimes you do just got to take a step back and realize that they need you. So you got to do what you got to do for yourself first.
And I love that you shared that.
I'm
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just telling her thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I love that you shared that because it's so easy to, we only have our experience, right? We only have our point of reference. I've had both my parents my entire life. So for someone else who, they had a polar opposite experience, it's nice to be validated in the sense that we're thinking, how selfish, are we for putting ourselves first? And she's like, let me tell you something. Because of that absence, she can tell you firsthand experience, like it's not selfish, because that may have changed her situation. So when you're insecure about it and you're concerned, like, oh, I'm not doing what's right for them, ultimately, we don't know that. It's going to play out the way it play out. So we do our very best. At the end of the day, we do our very best. When you're upset with yourself, and this goes for everybody, do your very best. And if you know you didn't do your very best today, tomorrow, wake up and take a second to say, how can I do my very best today? Even if it's one small thing. If you do that consistently, honestly, your mindset, your mental health is just going to change drastically. And that is why I feel like I can continue and I can keep going no matter how high the stress gets, because I've gotten to the point where I know that it's going to play out the way it's going to play out. No matter what I do, the people who it's meant to impact and help, it will impact and help. And I'll learn all that I can learn along the way, and it'll be what it is. So that is all I have for you ladies tonight. I'm just going to double check and make sure that I have everyone captured. Don't forget, before I end the call, I put the link to the website that's on my screen. I think Deandra, was that you that came in a few minutes in?
Yes, I did.
Okay, perfect. I'm just going to make sure that I capture your name as well. All right, I got that in. So I'll end the call here, but that link is there. If you need the link or for whatever reason you don't get to recover it and you'd like to reference it, just email me in ClassReach and I will be sure to send it right out to you. And if you think of anything else or you need any other, advice or help with anything work-related, school-related, you can always book that one-on-one and we can jump on a private call.